Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful. I am in the studio today continuing work on my beginner series, turning an old grungy book into a journal. I have used the cover that was missing a spine, and I think this is probably video 4 or 5 in this process. And so I've put the journal together. In the previous videos, I show you how I select books and pages and all that sort of thing, put the signatures together. So it's just a variety of different vintage book pages and some other coffee stained paper, and then a few digitals. So I wanted to show you today what I came up with for my spine. In the last video, I had actually started a second journal put together the same way, but this one just has 2 signatures. And so I was originally maybe going to put this one in my Etsy shop, but now I'm thinking I might use it for a new challenge for July. I had been, when I got this inspiration to do this type of journal, it was from Rachel at Roxy Creations. I had started watching her a while back, and I really loved how she does a lot of soft fabric things in her journals. And one thing she does is some spine covers. So I thought this would be a perfect thing to do for all my book covers that I have that don't have spines. I tend to buy books that are falling apart, and so a lot of them are just the front and back cover, and I don't have anything to put them together. So I thought, I love fabric and I love stitching and all that sort of thing. So I did her journal of stitchery over the last 6 months to learn about slow stitching, so that I could kind of incorporate that in my journal spines. So today I have the final decisions on these 2 journals for the spines. So I wanted to share those with you, and then moment of truth, try to glue them on and see if they work. So for the little one, I started it first, and I used a piece of rusted fabric that I had rusted using a really large old couple of springs. I just had them in a row and let them rust the fabric. So I really love this is the darker side, and that's the reverse. But I just thought that would be a nice simple style to do. Now, if you're doing this type of project, you don't have to do slow stitch if you're not into that. For the spines, you can just use any kind of fabric. So I brought some other examples just so you can kind of see what I was considering for the other book. This is just some fabric. It's from Pioneer Woman. I bought it at Walmart. I just loved it because it was a patchwork. I thought instead of buying a bunch of different types of fabric, I could actually tear pieces of these apart and make my own patchwork, but it had a lot of different patterns that I liked on it, kind of a bohemian kind of feel. So I liked that. So I got this piece of fabric, but then I don't like bright white, and it looked too new to me. I love kind of distressed. So I actually made it look old. And to do that, I did a couple of things. I soaked it in my rust that I'd saved. So if you've watched my videos for a while, several videos ago, I showed how I was rusting metal quickly with using white vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, and salt. That you can just do at home. And then I saved the liquid at the end and used it for dyeing lace and doilies, that sort of thing. So I just keep that, and then it doesn't work so well now for rusting metal. I think it would take a bit, but I soaked this in it for a while. You can see kind of where the rust has settled in spots. And then I actually used my spray coffee spray bottle that I've been using for paper, and then I just let it dry outside. So this was one consideration I had for my larger book, and I kind of liked how that looked, but it wasn't really exactly what I wanted. So what I kind of did, because I wasn't sure and I had pulled out a bunch of different things, I had this, and then I also had this piece of damask fabric that I actually this was my plan B if my elocutionist journal didn't work. And I thought, even though it's a little short, because I wrapped around my scrim, over the top, and my holes started below that, I could actually use that. And I really liked the color of it. And I thought I could stitch on this too, but I haven't done it yet because I've decided to not use this one. Kind of how I came to deciding which one would work is seeing if I had another book it could work on. So this was my third idea. I had ended up with 4 and chose 1. So this was my other idea. I loved this piece of vintage kind of crocheted lace sort of thing. I don't know what it was for, but I really liked it. And it was the right height for my spine, leaving it intact. And then it actually also fit the width of my spine to kind of do it that way. So I really liked that. Because it's so open hold, I needed something behind it. And so I put a piece of my rusted scrim behind it. And I really like that. I was going to do some slow stitching on top of that with adding a little color, but I could even just leave it like that. And so that was kind of another option that I had. And then I had another piece, and I'll show you. It's kind of my finished thing. And it didn't start out this way for sure. It kept growing as I went. But I'll just show you the original piece that I started with. I had this piece of fabric that I had printed an entire 8.5 by 11 sheet of one of the digitals from Roxy Creations French Chateau digital kit. And I had used the other part of it, and this was just a bit that I had torn that was left. And I thought, I really kind of like that too for just the spine. So originally I had it just that little piece of fabric, and imagine it without all the extras on there. But I kind of just had it like that. And I really liked it with the book because of, just having some of a couple of her papers, not too many in this one. But I just really I had this. So I just really kind of liked that look with it. So I decided on this piece, and yesterday I still I wasn't sure, and I was kind of going back and forth, and I had removed this one because, like I said, I went through and looked to see what other books I might have. And even though this one has a spine, when I take this apart, I may take this and use the spine separately. And then I could cover it with this if I wanted. And I really like those colors together. So I don't know, maybe I even have another book, but that was an option. So I decided against the little patchwork one. And then this one, I was still kind of just trying to decide between these 3. And yesterday I accidentally kind of laid this on top of this one. And I thought, oh, wow, I really like having that bit of lace border around the whole thing. And I thought that kind of it framed it nicely. So I thought, well, I could do that and just layer it. And then I really liked that. But then it felt like such a waste of all of this design, to cover that up. So I thought, well, I'll just look through my laces and different things and see what I have. I was even half tempted to have this hanging out, this on top of this and then on top of the other one. But it just seemed like I was wasting really pretty fabric. So I ended up taking the original little piece that I had, and then I just got some different, this was some rusted lace that I had done. I don't know if you can see that because it's kind of monochromatic there. But I took a piece of this rusted scrim, cut it a little bit bigger because this actually was short for my spine too. So I ended up cutting this to fit, and then added just some different things for a frame around that. I kind of liked how that looked a little like a crown sort of thing. And then some wider lace and put that on the sides. Now, when I did this, I didn't kind of do it in the right order. So if you are going to stitch on it and end up doing something this large, it would have been a better idea to have this attached to this originally. And then that way, it would have had more of a quilted look. When I did all the stitching, I would have had it through this whole thing. So instead, I had already done all of my slow stitching. And what I decided to do for that is the obvious things first. So this had a photograph and then just kind of a background scenery. But then it had this little kind of scallop braided looking thing in like this little bit and some little flowers. So I just kind of go for the obvious first, and I just did with 6 strands. I did this sort of it kind of had a feathery kind of braided rope kind of look. So I just stitched that, and then stitched these little X's in another color. I kind of pulled out a color palette from this fabric just to kind of have a little extra color, but kind of not too in your face. And you can do whatever you want. You know, you can take a totally different style. This is kind of that, you know, French chateau look. And I could have done, you know, modern looking flowers on it just for that contrast. And I kind of like that idea. So I framed this in kind of like an arrow kind of look, and pulled a color that was up in here, you know, just to bring that color over here. And then I did this turquoise sort of color all around the edge. And kind of a trick with that, I don't have my threads here. I wish I did so I could show you what I did, but I don't have all the threads in the world. So if I don't have a color that's quite right, the right color of teal or turquoise or whatever, if I don't have quite the right color, sometimes I can pull two colors out of my bin, and if I put them together, it changes the color enough. So this is actually around the edge, and you won't really be able to see it. It's two strands, and it's actually kind of a teal and a green. So together they kind of made this tree color. So I did that just in kind of a running stitch all the way around the edge, and then did cantha stitch. I kind of wanted more. There was really nothing going on here, and I thought about, you know, doing flowers or something. But I thought, I love the texture that I got in this first one that I did. I actually did this one first. And I think I mentioned in the last video that I was going to use this for the small book, and I just kind of imagined cantha stitch all through those stripes. And so that's what I did. And you can kind of see stripes this way because I just alternated the color. So I kind of did a rusty color, just a little bit different than the rust, so it wouldn't stand out a lot, but a little, and then alternated some other colors, just real subtle in there, just to kind of give it a wider stripe look too. And then I found it was a little plain still. I wanted to keep this one simple, but it was a little plain. So I found these kind of abalone buttons, and I really liked them with this color because it's kind of a gray blue, and I really like those together. So I ended up just stitching some buttons on the middle there just for a little bit of a decoration. So that was that one. But then I enjoyed doing cantha stitch. So I decided I'm just going to take a color that's kind of a gray, and that way I won't cover her up, but I'm kind of putting her in the background. And so I just did cantha stitch all the way across just to kind of modernize that photo. And then I ended up doing the same thing through here because this was just a bunch of blank space too. So I had just a little bit of design here. I did some bullion stitches for the flower, and then just some lazy daisy for the leaves. And that's about it. So it wasn't a ton of stitching. So I just did this yesterday. And then I decided to do the layers. But I had already done all the stitching. So then I had to kind of invisible stitch this to this scrim, and then also adding, well, first I put the laces on. So I did the border laces on first, and these, and then stitched this to the scrim, and then added this lace to the edge. So it's just kind of all attached backwards in a way. But I like how that turned out. It's just kind of more is more. And then that's going to go on just like that. I did add a couple buttons because this was kind of a blank space. And I thought about embroidering, you know, some flowers or something. But I like that extra texture. These are just some wooden buttons that I purchased online. So they're kind of just that bohemian kind of look. There's a bunch of different designs, and they're real lightweight balsa wood. So I just thought those were kind of fun. So I'm ready to glue these two things down, and hopefully it sticks and works. So I think just because this one's simpler, I'm going to start with this one. And when I put my buttons on, I did measure where the center was, so that way it helps me kind of put it onto the book too. I'm just going to probably eyeball it, but I drew a little line because it got covered up with my buttons. That way I could get them all kind of lined up halfway straight. So I'm just going to glue this on. I think I've been using, if you've been watching for a while, I have this glue called Quick Glue that was used for making lampshades, and I love that. I would be using that. It works great for fabric, but I left it in Studio B last time, so I need to remember to bring it back. So I'm going to use Fabri-Tac because it's supposed to work for fabric and lace, and we're going to see if it does. So I could probably just squirt it on. Don't know how I'm going to go about this. I think I'm going to do the spine first and not these flaps, and kind of let that sit while I work on the other one. And then that way I can kind of get it dried before I start messing with it to do the edges. The other thing you could do is, knowing how far this sticks out, and maybe I'll do that just to give myself a guide. That is, oh, just about an inch. So if I were to draw, let's see if this side is the same. If I were to draw a line, let's see, on my book, I could make sure my edge of my fabric hit there and was straight. Okay, so if I did that, I can make a mark. You could just eyeball it and not be worried, but I can't totally get rid of my perfectionist ways. Yeah, if I do that, then at least from the front, it's going to look straight. So I think I will do that instead. And then you can use a spatula or something. I've ordered some of those silicone ones, but they're not here yet. Or you can use a brush, a paintbrush. Of course, I don't know how that will be to clean this off of a paintbrush. I just started using this glue. So I'm thinking paintbrush might not be a good idea. I think for PVA kind of glues, white glues, but this kind of glue, this Fabri-Tac, to me is more like rubber cement, which is kind of nice in a way, because if you get it outside of where you want it, it balls up when it dries, and it's easy to remove all of it. So I'm going to just see if I can get this on my line kind of straight. Oh, I think I'm going to love how that looks. I just love that. Rust is one of my favorite colors. I always say the rainbow is my favorite color, and it's true. But I do love natural rust, and it looks really good with that blue-gray. Okay, oh, that's easy. Okay, super easy. And I think this glue is going to be one of my new favorites. You know, I haven't been doing this a whole long time, and you can't try everything at once. So I'm just kind of learning about new things. I think I mentioned in glue stick in the last video, and I had a recommendation for Yoo-Hoo glue stick since I needed to order some. So I did. I ordered it, and it's in one of the. I ordered that, and then the little silicone spreaders. This one works okay though. So make sure I get it everywhere. Okay, so if you stitch on them, be more gentle than that when you glue it down, because I just about messed it up. Okay, and then the other side. So I kind of can eyeball that line is about where I could use my finger, but it's really messy. I don't really like using this kind of glue too. It kind of really dries out your skin. I don't really like to touch this glue. I think I didn't get quite to the edge. But see, I got a little, maybe I should do that on purpose so you can see. I got a little bit, I don't know if you can see that outside, but the nice thing is it dries and you can just, it just balls up and comes off, which is really nice. Okay, I'll let that one dry, and hopefully the other one will go as smoothly. The other thing nice about this being kind of thicker, and I'll show you on this one, is there's a little tiny bit of a bump, which I don't care because it's, you know, grungy, but where my knots were tied, maybe if I did them to the middle, they would have then been covered up by buttons, but I didn't know how I was going to do my cover beforehand. So I guess if you kind of plan all the steps ahead, then I would have known my knots would have been buried under those buttons if I did them down here. So something to think about next time, I guess. So this one, I really want to get on straight because again, I centered my buttons, and so that kind of helps me. And this one, I'm thinking maybe I will do the spine first because I'm not going to be able to draw a straight line and get that on there straight. So I think it's more important to kind of get this looking straight. So I think the easiest thing is just set it where it is like that and just fold it back. We hope this is a good idea anyway. The other thing that you might want to do is if you're going to hang a dangly thing, keep in mind, you know, where you sew buttons or put things so that if you wanted to punch a hole here, which I still can about there, I guess, and put a rivet or a eyelet there, then you can dangle something, and that would be kind of cute too. In my case, it would cover up my pretty buttons, so I don't think I'm going to do that, but you might want to. Okay, that half, and then we'll pull this part back. I like how, and this was just kind of lucky for the way that was laid out, that she's in the center, and then this kind of border that was really only on this top half is kind of on the front like that, and then it's kind of more plain back here. So it really kind of just was the perfect happy accident piece of fabric to use. So this is going to be a little trickier, I think, because of the lace. So I think I'm going to do 2 here first, just to do it in stages. I think it'll be easier. And then this bit, I think what I want to do, because it's lace, is I'm thinking if I go this way and spread it onto the lace, then it won't be in all the holes in between, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know if this is even going to be the best glue, best glue for this. Trying to decide. Maybe I do just go ahead and spread it on and then use that to push it down. It's just going to be a little trickier with this curvy bit. So I think I'm going to do again to like here. I would pick a tricky lace to do on my first one. So if any of you, if I'm doing something and you're saying, oh, this would be so much easier, you can let me know in the comments. I kind of want to get that straight. And then I think I will use this so I don't get glue all over my fingers. Oh, actually, that wasn't bad. The glue, you don't feel it on your fingers. This is raised enough. But I'm kind of hoping, see how it's shiny under there? I'm kind of hoping that doesn't stay shiny. I don't really like that. So that might be better. This might not be the best glue to do that. Maybe I want to paint on my art glitter glue and it won't dry shiny. So let's see. I'm gonna pull it back and see if I can rub that off. For plan B, I'm going to attempt to use, let's see, I'm going to put a little art glitter glue in here. Okay, that's better because it's not going to be shiny. I like that better. Don't know if that's the easiest way to do that. So like I said, if you have an easier way that you've done it, let me know. But I kind of like this. I want it to be, you know, that kind of ratty on the edges. Okay, and the back side. Let's see if we can do this. I did like, this was just too much. I was going to take the whole lid off and squeeze it into the thing because it was just coming out too slow. So this tacky glue came out faster, so that's why I used that. So I do like this here though. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do to there. So this was Fabri-Tac that I was using, in case I didn't say. And for the lace, I'm using just regular tacky glue, just because it won't be shiny through the book. Normally when I've glued lace onto things, which if I had it here, I could have done that, is I used to do a lot of upholstery and that sort of thing. And I have some spray adhesive that works on like foam and that sort of thing. It's really messy, but a spray adhesive on the back of this lace and then stick it down would have been really, although messy, easier in a way. But it's not good for this room. I do that at a different workshop. And then the other thing is my sticker maker. My Xyron sticker maker works great for lace too. It does kind of get some of the glue in between the little holes, but not bad. And it's just kind of easy to get glue over the whole thing. But because I had this already stitched to my, you know, I could have done it as a separate piece by itself, glued it down, and then added this and glued that over. That would have been easy too. I thought about it last night before I stitched it to this, but I don't know. I always just like to try things a different way. So that actually worked. There's not glue. It's not shiny in between now. I didn't get too much, but it's nice and stuck on there. So I think that was that was a fine way to do it. Don't know if it's the right way to do it, but like I always say, there's more than one way to build a box. So that is my cover. I really like that. So I might want to be careful while it's still kind of drying to get it in those creases. Get it stuck down here really well. So more glue might have been a little better, but it's going to be for my use, so it's fine. This is my first practice one, so I will say that's okay. And it's all going to work. It's all going to stay together. So I like that. I like how that turned out. Now I want to decorate this further. I don't know, not today probably, because I'm actually in the process of rusting out some more things. And I ordered some, the eyelets that I have are not deep enough for a book cover. They work great for paper, but I've ordered some with a little bit longer of a thing. Actually, I have a couple in here that might work, but I'm in the middle of, I know that kind of looks blue. It's rusting. I think it's because the label holder thing I had in there was brass. So let me see if I can pull it out so you can kind of see. This is just my little mixture. See, it's going to turn out verdigris, which is really pretty. I should throw some more of those in here. I have a label holder that is actually a little brass one. So brass turns that kind of verdigris look instead of just rusty. I think I'm going to leave this out now and let that dry. I was thinking about if it came out rust, I was going to use it for maybe a label on this one. But I don't like that green on that so much. I mean, maybe. I'll let it dry and we'll see. But then I also put some little eyelets that have a longer... These were kind of a shiny copper color. And I don't really like shiny shiny things. I like aged things. So I'll let these dry too. But they're kind of turning out that verdigris also from this brass. So I'm just aging those down. But these have a little longer. They're smaller around. I kind of like the bigger ones. So I'm going to see what comes in the mail. They're shipped. I just get them in a couple of days. So I'm going to put some eyelets here, I think, for a ribbon closure maybe on this one. Something, haven't decided yet. So I'll show that in a future video once I get those things in. But I was kind of starting to think about what I want to do. If you're kind of doing your own book along with me, you might want some other kind of embellishment here. So a couple of ideas for beginners if you're new. There are these corner things. They're little metal corners. And I think these are probably Tim Holtz. I've taken them out of the packaging, but you can find them. Just book corners maybe you could plug in and get it. And that would be kind of a cute thing. I don't think I'm going to do them on these, but that's an option. You know, you just wrap that around and fold it down on your corner. And that's one option of a little embellishment. You can find these little metal, they're just flat backed metal pieces that could be like a label holder, not on this one because of this lace is in the way, but say I wanted it to be like a keyhole over there or something, or it could be a label here and say journal, put something behind it, kind of thing like that would be cute. There's also these little, let's see, these little paper embossed frames. These are from K & Company. I've had these forever, so I don't know if they still make them, but it's another option. They're just a paper thing that you could glue down. That would be kind of cute, or for your label, or maybe you even want the label on the spine kind of thing. There's those. The other thing I always love is, I keep just a little thing of these sort of embellishments. There's different colors. I think these all came also from Tim Holtz, probably. I don't remember. I bought lots of things over time that before I was doing this for other craft things. So I took things out of packaging, not realizing I needed to know where they came from. This one I really kind of like, so I'm thinking maybe, again, this might be Tim Holtz. This is from a set of little keys that kind of say things on them. This one says dreams. This is actually an old key. I also have I think this is the one I decided I wanted to use because it really is an old skeleton key, and I just liked how it kind of has a heart shape in that opening. So that might be dangling from there. I kind of like that. So maybe that and then a ribbon closure, and I'll be done with that one. There's also these flat backed keys. They are shinier metal than this when you buy them, but I had aged that. So if I wanted to even just glue that down, I could, or on a spine or something. I like keys. I like clock faces. I have, let's see. I have these old spoons. This would be cute for like a cookbook, on a cookbook. Some old gears. Again, these are Tim Holtz gears that you could kind of, you know, do a little collage-y thing on the front. That would actually be kind of cute. And then hang the thing. I like mixing different styles like this, industrial things with this Victorian kind of stuff. And then I also have, because I've taken apart clocks and things, actual brass ones, those would be pretty to age those in my solution, or even to take, you know, pocket watch faces and do something like that. So, and then, you know, you can have the eyelet there and have the key dangling. So different options. I'm not sure what I'll do. Like I said, I'm waiting for my eyelets to come, and then I'll decide and get something. I'll leave that aside. Embellished. This one I really kind of liked. I mean, it looks cute on this one too, but it's a little small. I kind of liked that one because it's rusty for this. So one thing I think I need to start looking for to collect is, it would be fun to do actual metal, the keyholes, you know, on there, and then have a key dangling would be really cute. So I don't know, something. And this one I might want a label on this one, put journal on it or something. So I'm not sure. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm thinking I wasn't going to list anything. These were kind of practice for me, you know. They're not going to be perfect. So I don't think I'm going to list these in my Etsy shop, but I don't know, maybe someday. This one I might actually use. I just finished Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, to learn how to do the slow stitching. And she mentioned now that that's over and she's starting the next one. I'm not going to do the next one because I want to focus on actually making my books now and doing some spine covers. But she's doing a thing from that's hosted by Meg Journals, and I had not ever heard of her until she mentioned this. But I'm trying to I'm not usually a group joiner kind of thing, but I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone and do more of that sort of thing. So she is participating. I think she's actually one of the, I don't know what they call them, collaborators. That's it. She's one of the collaborators for this. There's like a group of famous people, I guess, that are all you know, doing that. But I think anybody can participate. So you just use hashtag Journal July. It's already July 3rd today, and I haven't started. But I thought this would be maybe a fun journal to do for this. And then actually, you don't, from what I understand, you don't even have to do these in order. You can pick multiple. They're just prompts. You can pick multiple ones, or you can, you know, do them in order or backwards or whatever you want. And then you use this hashtag when you post something. I guess that way everybody can see your stuff. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm really bad at being able to craft every day. For sure, being able to do a video every day. I'm lucky if I can get one a week. But I'm thinking I might, you know, do this. And then maybe I just share like once a week or something every other week where I'm at and at what I've done. So we'll see. I don't know how many videos, if any, I'll do, but I just thought it would be fun for me to kind of try to participate in something else like that. So I'm thinking this might be a good journal for that because it's small, and then I can do that. So, and plus it's begin, which this could be begin building this, and reinvent. I guess I could say I reinvented this book. So I don't know. We'll see. Layered tag would be what I should be working on today. So maybe I'll go do that now. So you have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.